Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Now, before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of this business. It's an Amazon FBA business created in June of 2018 in the design, art, hobbies, and bed and bath niches. And the average monthly revenue for the business is $41,356 and makes an average of $11,684 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are 2 Amazon Seller Central accounts, which consist of 21 SKUs across both of those accounts, supplier relationships, Instagram account, trademark, Fair.com account, and just as a disclaimer, inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to verified buyers. So for everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 67329 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. So let's hear from the sellers with me today. So welcome to the show, Tristan and Katie. How are you two doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
We're excited to be here.
Great. Well, I'm very much looking forward to learning more about both of you and your business. So to start us off, can you tell me a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, so prior to starting this business, I had started a few other different businesses that had varying levels of success. And Tristan introduced me to this idea of Amazon FBA, and it sounded really interesting to us. And so we started to pursue it. And we took kind of everything we learned in these other businesses that we'd done prior to this and sort of put all of our energy and effort into starting something FBA. And, we weren't really incredible business people prior to starting FBA. We had some skills, but we really put a lot of work and effort into just building this from the ground up. It took us, all those hours, like learning how this works and putting in all that work. And also, Tristan and I are a really good team as far as doing the business together, just because I've always had like a drive and like a lot of ideas for business opportunities that I wanted to create. And Tristan is really, really excellent at like the numbers and the accounting. So his ability to like stabilize everything, all of my grand ideas has really allowed us achieve that together. And our accounting is in excellent shape.
In conclusion, our accounting is in excellent shape.
Yeah, and Katie definitely has the bigger vision, the artsy skills that are really required to have the ideas behind the business, which has been so invaluable for us.
Yeah, so you mentioned that your prior experience before entering the Amazon FBA space had helped you with this business. Was your prior experience in e-commerce? Is that how you took more of your experience? Or what do you think was helpful, ultimately, your success with this business?
Yeah, so I had one main business that I started prior to doing FBA, and it was e-commerce. And so I definitely learned about sort of buyer behavior and customer relationships and that sort of thing. And yeah, just a few skills. I mean, this business, we really put our heart and soul into this, but those were some of the things that I'd learned from prior experience.
Nice. And why did you choose this niche specifically?
Yeah, so one thing that we've noticed in our previous attempts in running a business is that if you are too emotionally attached to a specific niche or category or whatever, then there's a lot of emotion that drives your decisions. And we kind of experienced that in our other couple businesses that we had tried. One of the main reasons we chose this niche is because Katie actually knows a ton about it and she really enjoys it, but it's not something we're emotionally connected to. And because that emotion wasn't there, we were really able to use metrics and use the data to kind of drive the decisions on what products and what designs and stuff like that we were going for instead of our emotions. So that's, I think, one of the reasons why that niche has been successful for us.
Yeah, we really, really looked into very specific criteria when we were going into choosing the products and choosing our niche. It was all like numbers when we first got started. It was all about what the products we're doing on the marketplace and, the sales and the search volumes and all of that.
Yeah, we probably spent, I don't know, 100 hours
we
plus
spent so much time choosing.
Just deciding on a niche.
Oh, yeah.
But it was all based on, do we understand it, but also are we not really connected to it emotionally?
Yeah, that's a fine line to achieve, right? Something that I imagine it's kind of a spectrum where on one side you're very emotionally attached, it's burning passion. And then on the other side, it's purely numbers and you don't care about it at all. But what I'm getting from this is that there was interest there. Maybe, I don't know, you started out by looking at what niches were validated by the numbers and then determining, all right, I actually have interest in this or experience in this. So you're kind of combining the two, but yeah, somewhere kind of in the middle of that. So that's a hard balance to achieve in some cases.
Yeah, that was honestly one of our biggest goals in moving forward with the business when we had originally started out.
Nice. So it's been over 4 years now that you've had this business. Why are you deciding to sell it instead of keeping it and growing it further?
One of our primary thought processes over the last several years as we started the business is kind of what our big goals were in starting the business. And one of our primary goals has always been to be able to have more time to spend with our family and to be able to help me out here, Katie.
Yeah, one of our main goals was we wanted to build a business that would require kind of minimal effort so we could have more time with our family, more time doing things that we loved, that sort of thing. Those were our main overarching goals. And because of that, we recently have reached a point with the business where we've said, okay, we need to be like looking at newer and bigger things so we can expand. There's lots of opportunities for this business to grow. But as we were examining sort of our overarching goals that we've always kind of come back to from the beginning, we started realizing like, actually, we want to be spending this time that we were going to start pouring into expanding into some other new things, some of our own passions and interests that we really want to channel like our mental energy into, if that makes sense. And so we still want the freedom to be with our family and we want to just like pursue these other things. So
yeah, I hear that a lot. It's kind of in your blood. The thing that brought you to building these businesses, just looking for opportunities, is also kind of what helps you a little bit to know when you're ready to move on, when you've identified another opportunity. So yes, I definitely understand. Okay.
I guess maybe just something to add there is we do feel like there's a ton of opportunity for growth, but one of our goals has honestly been, can we run this business out of our house? And because that simplifies things a lot for us. And so we look at all these opportunities for growth and we think to ourselves that we would probably need to look at hiring VAs and looking at more warehousing options and things like that. And that's something that we're just a little hesitant to really move forward on because of our overarching goals.
Yeah. Well, that also makes a great investment opportunity or great acquisition for somebody who wants to take a business to that level, is ready, and they just are looking for something that's clearly working. Okay. Well, speaking of what is clearly working, you have built this business to a degree of success. And over that time, what did you learn from building this that you think worked, that contributed to that success?
I think something that we've learned primarily is kind of what we mentioned before, just about using the metrics and the data to really see what the market is wanting and what the demand is in the market. That's something that we learned for sure over the course of this business, rather than just like, oh, I'm just going to create this because I like it. No, it's like there's data and specific metrics to show that there's a market for these products. Did you have something to add to that?
No, I think that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Something else that I was going to say that we've learned is just that this is a difficult business, but really kind of something that anyone can do. It's just over the course of our business, what we kind of came across over and over was like, yes, this is difficult, but we would reach what we would call a barrier to entry. And we'd be like, wow, this is a challenge, but like, and this is why everyone's not necessarily good at it.
Yeah.
So we're going to break through this challenge, which is why we're going to have success where maybe a lot of people didn't have success. Anyone could do this. It's just a lot of people don't because of this challenge or then this next challenge. And so every time we sort of broke through that, it was kind of like, oh yeah, these are these barriers to entry that we're kind of overcoming in order to succeed.
Yeah, you hear a lot of those YouTube gurus that are like, oh yeah, anybody can do this. You can start with $1,000 and be in your mom's basement sort of attitude. And to some degree, I really do believe that. But I think running a business takes grit and it takes determination. And whenever we would get discouraged, we would always look at each other and say, well, this is just another barrier to entry. We have to just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, that's a good point that often it's a common talking point that anybody could get into this with a very small amount of money. I think they have an incentive to try to just be relatable and get more people interested in believing that they can do it. But it is difficult and there are barriers to entry. And yeah, I think that's a great perspective to have. By you getting past that barrier to entry, you are creating a more defensible business because of those barriers to entry. So, was there anything you tried with this business that didn't work out as well?
Absolutely. There always is. I think that failure is probably your best teaching tool. So, if you look at all of the products that we've tested and all the different things, there's only actually ever been one product where we really haven't made our money back, which is actually a really nice thing in my mind, speaking for Amazon businesses in general. I feel like if you follow the metrics and you're trying to do your best there, you're going to at least make your money back at a bare minimum. But what we've learned from those is that you're going to be okay if you follow the metrics and if you really understand the data-driven decisions. But taking those failures and looking at them and thinking to ourselves, okay, well, why didn't this work? I think that's been some of our best learning tools overall, is really reflecting on those failures and just trying to learn from them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, something to add to that is just, I think with each failure product that we had, and like you said, there's only one that really failed. Most of the ones we always broke even, but any product that wasn't a bestseller, it was always about, okay, we learned something. How do we not repeat that? And then same thing with the bestsellers. Like we reach a bestseller. Okay, like let's repeat that. Let's study that. What did we do? And then we were able to go on and like repeat that over and over.
Yeah, nice. And it sounds like you've already answered this a little bit, but it sounds like you two have two different roles within the business, but also some overlap. Sounds like one side is more focused on the numbers primarily, but it sounds like it's a conversation that you both share as far as looking at the data. And then one is more looking at opportunities or the creative side of it. But can you describe the amount and the type of work that both of you do on this business to maintain it?
Yeah, so like we mentioned in the listing, the business we calculated out takes about 3 hours for us per week. And what's involved with that is checking advertising and inventory levels. And we do that about every other day, just spending 15 to 20 minutes on that. And then we spend 1 or 2 hours per week restocking inventory for Amazon, which is going to be obviously something that, if someone were to buy this business and hire warehousing, like that's going to be eliminated. But we personally, we do it out of our house. So we take the inventory and then bring it to UPS. So every other week or so, we're contacting suppliers and just reordering products that need to be replenished. And then aside from that, it's just like updating financial records. It's really pretty minimal work. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we go to like, if we're looking to launch a new product or expanding, those obviously take more time. But in terms of like the maintenance work, that 3 hours a week is pretty manageable, I think.
Got it. And yeah, it's those 3 hours sound like something that a buyer would most likely be outsourcing. So it would be even less than that. Okay. So if you were to keep the business, what are some ways you would try to grow it?
So the main ways that we have looked at growing the business that I think are definitely really good opportunities with this business. The first thing that we would do if we were keeping it on is just continuing to launch new products in the niche that we're in. There's still a lot of opportunities with the specific product types that we do to launch more of them, to launch different variations of them. There's lots of opportunities still in our niche market to differentiate further. And then the next opportunity that we've looked at is Walmart.com marketplace. And we've kind of studied that marketplace and seen that our products could do really well there as far as how we're different from what's on their platform. That's something that we haven't pursued, again, because that's something that we're not familiar with. So that would require us to sort of do more time, but there's a lot of opportunity there from what we've seen. And then the other side of this business that we have thought about growing into is on the wholesale side of the business. So with the niche that we're in, there is a pretty loyal customer base for these types of products that buy them actually at small boutique shops across the US and even beyond the US, where we have sold these products that we sell them wholesale in bulk quantities to boutique shops. And so that side of the business does have some capability of growing if done correctly.
Got it. So I'm hearing wholesale, Walmart.com, and product expansion. Those three things I do understand now why you're saying that to kind of get to the next level of your business, you would have to make that decision to invest more of your focus and capital and time. So yes, this does seem like this business is that kind of that next level. It's poised to be at that launch to that next level. Okay, so what do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
We were talking a little bit about just the reliance on Amazon FBA at one point. That has been one of the things that we have talked a lot about over the last few years, about wanting to diversify a little bit. That's actually why we looked into the Faire.com platform and trying to get into boutique shops. We've been doing that for about a year now, and that's been moderately successful. We haven't put enough energy into it to really see it grow, but we see a ton of potential there. But yeah, wanting to get less reliant on Amazon is something that we've constantly tried to be working on. Another thing that we've talked a lot about is just debt. When we started our Amazon FBA journey, we lived in a little condo and we decided that we were going to do this debt free. And so that risk has been very, very minimal for us, which has been, I guess, a great asset to the business, is to never really be reliant on debt. But that would just be a risk that I guess I would throw out there for a potential buyer, to make sure that they're mitigating their debt and making sure that they're mindful of that. One last thing to throw out there is just the importance of being adaptable. One thing we've noticed over the last few years is markets change a little bit. Amazon's metrics change a little bit, and you have to continuously be adaptable. So every few months, one of the things we do is we'll sit down and go over keywords and make sure our keywords are relevant. We make sure that we're, I guess, indexing for those keywords that we're going to be relevant for.
Yeah, a lot of times I think this goes across Amazon no matter what niche you're in, but there become new relevant keywords that weren't relevant before that now are all of a sudden getting a lot of searches. And so you have to be making sure like, oh, these are the new keywords, like make sure that the listings are optimized for that, and just being adaptable in the market that the products are in.
Yeah, all of those things sound like definitely risks and just things to look out for really any e-commerce business, but then also for specifically Amazon FBA businesses. And I'm sure anybody with listening to this with Amazon FBA experience would probably acknowledge all of those potential things to look out for. Okay, well, a few housekeeping questions to wrap this up. How much support are you willing to offer a new buyer?
We had put 60 days on our kind of initial application. We're more than happy to have phone conversations or email correspondence to try to help make the smooth transition.
Perfect. And just confirming, you commit to a non-compete on the business after it's sold?
Absolutely. We have a few other ideas that we are kind of wanting to try out in life, and none of them have to do with this niche. So,
got it. Perfect. And are you open to something like an earnout?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
You know, I think this business, it's already set up. It's all ready to go. It's really strong in the niche that it's in. And we've got a whole little range of best-selling products that are just performing really well already. And the time that it takes to manage it is so minimal that honestly, it is just a really, really good business to be in. We have loved it and has continued to just make us money based off of just such minimal effort. So yeah, those I think are some of the reasons why this is a really great business.
Yeah, sounds like definitely a solid business and in a nice sweet spot with the number of SKUs, the amount of time spent. Great. Well, is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
I don't think so. I think we covered quite a lot. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you would like us to discuss?
Well, I think if there is anything specifically, it would be with anybody listening to this, any potential buyers, just looking at the information on the listing. And should they have any questions, they can just set up a call to discuss those details of the business with you directly.
Okay.
perfect.
Well, on that note, I think this is the perfect spot to wrap up. So, Tristan, Katie, thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And yeah, I hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the right buyer.
Thanks
so
you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 67329. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.